Our First Amendment grants us freedom of speech. But what does this actually mean?
It's a pretty broad question.
How do you define free speech? I guess it's meant to be speech that's protected by the First Amendment, that's free from government control.
Free speech rights are given to students everywhere, from the amphitheater to student publications. As student journalists, we face the issue of making sure our content is protected by the First Amendment every day. Yet with a concept that's as free as its name, the issue of defining what freedom of speech means is constant.
Free speech in the vernacular simply means, I have a right to my opinion no matter what. And if you're in a personal argument with somebody and they try to shut you down because they don't like what you're saying, people will back off and say, well, it's my free speech. You can't tell me to shut up.
So college campuses are probably one of the most vital institutions in the United States where the First Amendment gets practiced and contested and tested, if you will. So if you are a free speech advocate or you're interested in the First Amendment, there's no better place or laboratory to study it than American college campuses.
On a college campus, it's really, really essential for us to be able to publish the important stuff that our students need to know. We need to have the ability to inform them.
Although they are created with the desire to inform and entertain, student publications are often at the brunt of free speech issues.
The first free speech controversy I was ever involved in it was at UNCW. It was actually 1997 when someone tried to shut down or remove something that the Seahawk was doing. It was called, I think, the Sexual Horoscopes.
As a free speech advocate, Adams fought the motion by the staff senate to censor the newspaper.
And I thought that was absurd speech, but I didn't think it was dangerous. I thought the danger was in having a faculty committee come along and determine what could be printed in the student newspaper.
At a public college like UNCW, I would say that what I can tell you about it is that people would probably say that free speech is under attack, that a lot of people in America, according to polls that are done every couple of years by the First Amendment Center and so on, that a lot of Americans believe that we have too much free speech. I find that really paradoxical and a little troubling, that you can have too much of a freedom. But the thinking being that, too much free speech means that we're either feeling entitled to say things that are hurtful.
Controversial speakers have been more present on UNCW's campus. Brother Ross, a frequent visitor, has become well known for his harsh opinions, leaving students wondering if what he is saying is protected speech.
We have a situation where if somebody comes and is, kind of the quote pit preacher and says something that is, arguably offensive, the university really can't and will not, do anything about it.
Dean of Students Office, for example, has to look at it in two ways. And one is, for example, the student organization who wants to have somebody come and speak on some topic. That is wide open. And if they endorse that person, they are free to support them and host them in a conference room and talk about various issues, versus the non-university personnel where the freedom of expression policy applies. And those individuals can book one of two spaces, either the amphitheater or WAG, out front of WAG, and for a duration of time they could speak on any myriad issues and topics, some of which can be controversial if not offensive to the ears of people hearing them.
Universities are in the crosshairs a lot of the time, though, because on the one hand they play a role in sort of teaching us to be better citizens, better human beings, and to be nice to each other. There's that. But at a public university, that's the government telling you to do that. And so if you are of the opinion that government should not be taking too much of a role in your personal life, in your bedrooms, for instance, in your head, in whatever headspace that is, then free speech is right in that area. You don't want the government telling you what you can and cannot say.
What is the line that balances somebody's right to speak and somebody's right not to be offended? And UNCW is a perfect example of where that's one of the places that we struggle with the most.
As long as the non-university personnel register in advance and follow UNCW's time, place, and manner rules, they are able to speak openly, regardless of how that speech is interpreted by students.
I feel concerned for the students who get upset, yeah. But, I also am an advocate of our Constitution Therefore, I believe in the Constitution. If the Constitution says we have to permit it, then we have to permit it, and we have to try to be okay with that.
On the days that Brother Ross visits UNCW, the amphitheater is filled with students ready to voice their own opinions. Signs around campus notify students of his visit, which some people don't agree with.
I don't even approve of when UNCW puts up a sign that says a controversial speaker will be here and we do not agree with his views. They're talking about Brother Ross. Have you noticed that? They got a special sign for Brother Ross. That's not the university's business to say what they agree with and what they disagree with. If they're going to put up that sign, they need to put up exactly the same sign for every single speaker that says there's going to be a speaker from off the campus that's coming here and we don't necessarily agree with the views. You don't just do it for the pastor. Because then what are you doing? You're saying that the university somehow has certain views? What do you mean? You're supposed to celebrate diversity and tolerance, and you're supposed to be a free and open marketplace of ideas. Government doesn't hold official views. That's just ridiculous.
The difference being the freedom of expression policy applying to non-university personnel, such as Brother Ross, where the process includes advance notification that they're coming, signage the day of indicating that there's not an endorsement of the message, and also serving as sort of an advance warning that, look, they're coming. If you don't want to listen, don't come back to this area while they're here, for those who really don't want to hear it. Different from a student who can really go anywhere, stand anywhere on campus at any point in time and say what they want. They're not part of that policy. They don't have to register. They're members of this community.
I think that often when we succumb to the temptation of censorship, we missed really good opportunities to advance our own cause in the court of public opinion. So.
One of the beauties of being on a college campus is that's how you learn. I mean, where there's conflict and there's disagreement, learning does occur. Even if you don't agree with what's said, hopefully there's still some educational value to the conversation.
I believe it's a natural human tendency when you're confronted with speech that you don't like to try and shut it down, because that's the easier thing to do than to try and sit back, take a deep breath, and think and reflect and come up with an intelligent response.
UNCW students are getting more exposure to a variety of speech, and while some of it may be controversial, it is not censored. Instead, students are educated and informed about free speech by people who want the student voice to continue to be heard.